6 a.m. coffee with Shanda, and I'm coffeeless. It's over there. Anyway, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am with a dear friend of mine, Christine Campbell, and we are doing a really interesting segment this morning because it's really about, people keep asking me, I actually just spoke in Toronto and I did this whole presentation around business. And then this woman pulls me aside and all these other women start going like this to me. And they're saying, that I love all your business talk. I love your strategies, Shanda, but I'm really curious. How did you find your man in 90 days? So this is a totally different 6 a.m. coffee with Shanda. I'm actually having Christine Campbell on to me. If you're in a relationship right now, whether it's whether it's a love relationship, that's a marriage or a partnership or whatever that looks, you're going to pick up something around how to make your relationship better. But if you're in a position where you're trying to find love, then we're actually going to talk about how successful women find high quality men on this 6 a.m. coffee with Shanda. So ladies, get ready. Gentlemen, here's how we learn better. And let's rock this out. So Christine Campbell, hi.
Hi, so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I know, I love that you're here, and 6 a.m. is a really ungodly hour for you. So normally you don't get up till later on. So you have the quality of life to do that. So let's just jump right into this. So tell a little bit about your history, because you've created this whole business around your history, right? Your history of relationships and then took your natural DNA of what you actually are good at, and you compiled your history and your talents together to create this insane company that's just busting at the seams right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I basically, my whole life, I've been technically a dating machine, if not. So I was either serial monogamous, not single until I was 30. Then I jumped into serial dater, dating up to 1,500 men. And I never saw that as this was going to be a business one day. I was just trying to figure out love. And I didn't even realize that the reasons I was serial monogamous, the reason I was serial dater was all internal stuff happening that was just keeping me in unhealthy relationships and chronically single. So it wasn't until I was 40 that I finally figured it all out and realized that it was, the common denominator in 40 years of problems was me taking responsibility, going, wait, maybe it's not all these guys that are, the jerks and to blame. Maybe it's me. And that realization made me start to do some work and start to study love and do tons of self-development work. And the payoff was that when I turned 40, I set an intention. I was going to meet my husband in 90 days. And going on. So in 90 days, I was going to meet him. I actually met him in 3 days. We connected on Match.com. We met in 6 weeks, and by 90 days, we actually were married, which was crazy because at 40, I'd run from marriage. But that's just because I was calling in the wrong men, and I never felt safe enough to say yes. And so basically, today I teach what I learned based from all those years of experience of dating and relationship, toxic, unhealthy relationships, dating unavailable men.
Well, you know what I think was powerful when I asked you we've been friends for, 15, 17, we've been friends for a long time.
In the 20s.
17 years. Back from Vancouver, Canada days. So I loved your level of responsibility. And I think everybody, whether you're in a relationship or you want to be in a relationship, can learn from this. I was really impressed the other day when you said, because you dated a narcissist, because I remember you started your business through that process. Yes. And it was a different business than it is today, but you started your entrepreneurial efforts. And I remember you said, I remember when you were with him, and you said the other day, you said, I see now how there were key things that I did in that relationship that grew his narcissism, that actually fired him up to treat me the way he did. And that's powerful. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit.
Right. So when I was in that relationship, I was very much in victim. Everything was his fault. Poor me. He's such a jerk. And I was always crying to all my friends for hours on end. My poor friends. Sorry, Shanda. For years, over 3 years straight about me, my situation. So stuck. And it wasn't until like I finally left that relationship, which was very, very scary for me. I had a lot of fear that was keeping me trapped in it, but it was like enough was enough. You have to get to that point. What point are you going to just say enough? I have to choose me. I finally did. Packed up 19 boxes, had them shipped back to the States because I was living in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. And, you know, in the self-development work was when I started to learn how to take responsibility and to realize that when you're in victim, you're completely powerless. And it's not until you actually shift into taking control of your life and taking responsibility that you have your power back. And in doing so, I actually was able to reflect back and go, wow, I was an unhealthy partner. I went into that relationship with massive worth issues. I went in with a motivation. You know, I wanted to marry, like he was Mr. Perfect, because narcissists tend to be in the beginning. So very charming and good looking and successful and fun and in shape and, you know, so all of these amazing lifestyle. But then immediately I started to see the signs that I wasn't safe with this person, with other women, with, you know, being a priority. I was like 7th on the list. And I started to feel really crappy. But instead of learning how to communicate my needs, how to either realize that, speak my truth, and see if there's hope there, and if not, leave, I started to emasculate. I started to punish. I started to stonewall. I started to, you know,
share what that looks like, because I think some people think that people deserve it, and that's why these attitudes show up. So share what that looks like.
So it is when your needs aren't being met. And instead of responding in a healthy way, you react in a very unhealthy way. So emasculation is basically punishing your partner. And it looks like criticism, complaining, holding back, passive aggressive behavior, you know, unhealthy conflict, dealing with conflict in a really unhealthy way, name calling, blame, again, making everything this person's fault, completely victim when you're emasculating. Just ways to make the person small and to really give your power in a relationship, but in a very unhealthy way.
How did you shift from that way of being to like shifting into who you are today? Because you have an incredibly healthy relationship today, and you go through your stuff, but you have tools to keep working through things. So it's powerful.
So the shift comes, obviously you have to, it's just a new way of being. And it's easiest when you choose a healthier partner. Like dating narcissists is difficult. They are going to trigger you up the woo-ha consistently. So if you choose unhealthy partners, addicts, narcissists, abusers, you're just best to leave. Like quite frankly, unless you're willing to get help, just save yourself years and years and years of heartache and pain and get out and face your fears and you will be fine. I promise you. But if you're just the type of person that has gone into a relationship with a healthier person and you're the problem, you're the one who has issues from your past and your upbringing and your father neglected you and now you have neglect issues in your relationship and, you know, he works a lot now you're at home crying because he's not home and you feel like he doesn't love me. He does love you. So it's like really realizing, is he someone I can trust? Is he a good person? So you have to take a step back now and go, am I in danger or am I with a safe, wonderful person and I'm sabotaging this? And you can sabotage a relationship immediately if you're not careful. So that's a big question, Shanda, to go into, like, just how do you fix this immediately?
Yeah,
but
every time I talk to you, I'm always like, that's so powerful. Like when you communicate, share an example. If you communicate, if Steve or one of your clients is in a relationship with someone, then I want to talk about how women get into relationships, or men. But I know your scenario is women, but I'm sure there's men watching, so there's lots to learn. But it's like, you know, how do you take a moment where you normally you would trigger and you'd be like, shit, I'm mad at you right now. You know what I mean? And creating that stone wall, or that passive aggressiveness, like, I can't believe you're such an idiot, or whatever comes out of people's mouths, right? How do you shift that moment? You're with a healthy person. What would be a healthy way of communicating?
So basically, whenever you're triggered, usually that comes from a past pain, something that you've experienced in the past that even this really nice, sweet person does checks up. Okay, I'll just give you a live example. So I came from narcissism, and my ex-partner was a womanizer. And a lot of my partners in the past were womanizers. So I was very sensitive to my man spending time, investing time, or even checking out other women. And I'm a very confident woman, and I own that, especially when I'm single. I'm like most confident woman in the world. But when you get into a relationship, you become vulnerable to your pain and your triggers. So when, for example, I had to work through this in my marriage already, when my husband would start to get close to another woman, and it was completely platonic, I would start to get triggered. And I would start to make him just like my past, just like my ex. And I'd be like, I didn't marry into this. I married a nice, loyal guy and made him wrong, right? Really, he's innocent, but I'm just so lost in my traumas that now I'm losing myself, and I'm starting to get angry and starting to not trust him and starting to get anxiety over, shoot, I made a wrong decision. He's going to hurt me too, because I was so hurt by this. What I had to do in that moment was just stop and be like, really realize, wow, I'm triggered right now. And I mean, communication is the key to all healthy relationships, you guys. It's old, old advice, but it's new advice, because it's so important that you learn how to communicate with your partner. But in this moment, I actually pull him aside or sit him down and say, honey, I'm really triggered right now. And I know it's from my past, and this is why, and this is how I'm feeling. A healthy partner is going to respond to you just as mine did and say, oh my God, honey, I would never in a million years want you to feel that way. How can I support you to make you feel better right now? And he would do whatever he needs to do to calm me. And the flip side, it's not his job. Again, this is where it's not his job. So I have to realize, okay, in this moment he was supportive, but moving forward, this has to stop, because you have to choose to trust him. I have to actually say to myself, I'm choosing to trust him right now. Who is this person? He's not my ex. He's a loyal, amazing, wonderful man who's always had my back. And basically calm myself and reach out to him for reassurance if I need it, because my husband is healthy enough to give it to me, which is a very hard thing for me because of my pride. But to really be able to say, get over yourself, Christine, reach out, let him know that you need him right now. And honestly, just consistently focus on what's great about him and not about the situation. When you really start to continually focus on what's good about your partner, you'll appreciate them immediately. But if you allow yourself to stay triggered and you continually go, oh, not only was he hitting on that woman, plus the other week he was, late, and you know what? I don't like the way he wears those stupid shirts he wears. And you start to like bring up all this stuff to make him not a good choice. And then you start to disconnect, and it just turns into this entire huge mountain of problems, and you start to doubt your decision. And that just gets worse and worse.
And I think, I can remember moments that I've been like that in my own life. I know, many people who are trying to get in relationships do that. And I've had so many conversations with people around commitment and what commitment looks like, because I think there's this break in commitment that we automatically go to versus staying committed. And I'm talking about a healthy relationship. But we can make a healthy relationship unhealthy by just whatever stories it is that's going inside of our head. So you have something called the strict 7. Let's talk about the strict 7, because people go crazy about this. And this is definitely more for women, but let's talk about the strict 7. What is it?
Yeah. So my strict 7 was a tool that I created as I was, going through my own process. And I used it as a tool originally to start to coach my clients with. And then when I became single again, I'm like, I'm using this tool. And so what it is it's a must-have non-negotiable list. There's only 7 though. So this really helps all you picky women out there to streamline so that you don't lose a great guy over something that's ridiculous. And for the woman who makes bad choices, this really helps you be able to recognize an amazing man when he's in front of you and be able to start to actually open up your heart and trust him. And for women who don't even have any experience, it's a safe mark. So anyways, it's just a really great tool that eliminates 99% of the problems when you're single dating. So the strict 7 is I give you the first 3, you get your own 4. So it's personalized. It's not just straight across the board for everybody, which makes it unique. The top 3 that I give you are,
This is how to find like that high quality person.
This is how
right?
to find a marriage material man, or like a long-term, like a guy who's going to be, you can actually trust to move into a long-term relationship with, who is going to align with your values and needs, who it's going to work with. Like my women who aren't used to dating high quality men, who are used to accepting crumbs from men, have a very tough time dating strict 7 because they're so nice, because they take care of you, because they make you feel safe. And these women, actually, it's foreign to them. They're like, I've never had a guy treat me this way before.
Yeah.
And they,
I mean, you and I have talked about this, where when I first met Ash, I was like, he's too short, too skinny, and it's like, and meanwhile, I'm doing all this work. I mean, I found him in 90 days, but I thank God I was doing all this work around like relationship stuff and in the practice of it, because if I wouldn't have been, I would have just let him go. And he's an amazing man, you know. So, okay, strict.
I remember that. So yes, the strict 7, number 1, he must make you feel safe on all levels. You know, already, you guys, this is how we're starting to clear out the unsafe men. So he must make you feel safe emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, and sexually. So again, look at their finances. So many times I work with a lot of successful women. Women come in making more money, this and that, and they're like, oh no, it's okay. And then 3 years later, they're like, oh my gosh, like I'm totally his mother, or whatever it may be, right? Yeah. So you have to be careful. Financial, just really, you know if you feel financially safe or not, and don't disregard it because he's really good looking. At that point, things like that, because that's going to backfire in your face, I promise. So must make you feel safe on all levels. Always tapping into how you feel with the person, not what you want. What you need is so much more important. How do you feel? Secondly, he must be making you a priority, investing into you, hunting you, pursuing you. You must know that this man wants you. So I eliminate hunting in my coaching, because I teach in many ways femininity in love. And so I remove the ability for my women to start to hunt. And it also enhances your value, because the second you, as a woman, you go into hunter, you're devaluing yourself, you're starting to attract in feminine betas, men who aren't interested, and it really hurts your self-esteem and self-worth. So I
have a good girlfriend that literally, I'm not kidding you, it's like she hunts men like you wouldn't believe, and she's hot. Like she's hot and she's, fun, and she's all of that. But every single man she makes up an excuse for. He's exactly the type of man I would want to marry, but he just got out of a relationship and that's why he cheated on me. But he, tells me things like, you're totally the type of woman that I want. I just want to be free and date lots of people and sleep with lots of people. And then she will settle for that for a period of time, not a long period of time, but a period of time. And like I sit there, I'm like, her self-worth is just going, and she actually believes that depending on the city that you live in determines on whether or not you can have high quality men. And I keep trying to say to her, I'm like, honey, please just go work with a relationship coach. Like, I love her and I want her to have everything, but it's like, please, like, it is not the men that live in New York, California, Las Vegas. It's you. It's you. It's the way you hunt. It's the way you show up that keeps attracting these men over and over and over again. And it's like, she won't look at it. It's crazy to see.
Totally. And all I hear when you're saying this is women marry their fathers. And I bet you, if she was to go back into her history with her father, she had to work really hard to get love from him. So it's showing up today in her relationship. Most likely. That's something I'm really, So, but that has to stop, because you're not going to be valued. You're not going to have that masculine alpha man who wants to take care of you, provide for you, protect you, please you. She's taking all of that, removing their opportunity to even show up like that. And then she's allowing in horrible behavior and tolerating it and then getting hurt. Right? So number 2 is super important. It just eliminates all the guys who aren't ready. It eliminates the guys who are looking for, in essence, looking for sex, but I'll move into that. It eliminates the guys who are not willing to put in effort. If a man's not willing to put in effort, you have a problem. Why would you marry someone or invest 40 years into a man who's not going to put an effort into you? Just move on and find the men that want you.
Yeah.
So much easier. And then the third one is this one's so important, He must be ready for what you're ready for. You must be on the same timeline. And if he is not, he is a no. So what this looks like is if you want to get married and you're like, I really want to get married and have children, then you start dating a married guy. You don't choose people based off hope and potential. You're just lining yourself up for years of waiting or disappointment. Choose men who are ready for what you're ready for.
Well, and I remember, and we're at 20 minutes, so we're going to have to run through this, but I remember, in my 20s, I was always told don't look desperate. Don't look desperate. But when I got really clear, this is that 90-day plan if you want that relationship, I literally, and my husband was doing the same thing. In the interview, we interviewed each other and we interviewed the timeline. And it was like, okay, if you were to meet your right person, doesn't mean you're going to be it, but if you're going to meet the right person, are you interested in getting married and having children? And he actually asked me first, which was fascinating. And he was dating 7 women. I mean, he was dating 7 women and 5 of them he thought were potential. You know what I mean? But he wouldn't commit to them because they weren't 100% what he wanted in a wife. So it's fascinating how men hunt versus women will say, well, he's like 70% there. So I'll just take me. You know what I mean? Because I want to be married and I want to have that relationship. It's just such a trip how powerful women and powerful people do this all the time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so next one.
Yeah. And so,
by the way, you guys, if you want Christine's Strict 7, I put her URL up on the page, christinecampbell.com. When you go to it, you can enter the site and then a pop-up will pop up. When the pop-up pops up, that is the Strict 7. And I'm like obsessed with this. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And so basically, first one safe, second one pursuing you, third one same timeline. And then the next 4 are yours. You get to choose 4 things that are must-have non-negotiables, what you cannot live without in your relationship, in your future relationship. And that's something you have to think about because you can't change this for every single man that comes along. This one has to be made. You can tweak it first couple of times and then it sets in stone. And this is what you follow. So if you find a man who is all the top 3, then you're already like in the game completely. Then you find also a guy who has, 4 things that you value, that you have in common. Like Shanda, really, I remember you had someone who had to run triathlons, someone who had no debt, and you had 2 others. That would have been yours 4, actually. Then I would have topped it with the other 3 that I give you. Yeah. And Ash was 100% a Strict 7. And my husband was a Strict 7. So when I coach my woman, I'm like, you can only date Strict 7 men. And if he's not a Strict 7, let's not even have this conversation. You have to just find the power within you to realize that you're making a bad choice or that this person is not going to work out. And that's where standards come in, boundaries. So it makes dating so much easier when you have a model like this to follow. And then when a Strict 7 comes along, I actually teach my women to date 3 of them for up to 90 days, 90-day rule, ladies, and definitely no sex before 90 days. So you can commit earlier, just get to know them better before you end up getting intimate. Because think about it this way. If you're really serious, the next person you have sex with, you want this person to be your future husband, ideally. So choose carefully. Don't just throw it all around and jump. What are you laughing at? All distracted.
And he's got a ponytail in his hair. And he has a ponytail in his hair because he's getting, what's wrong?
He's going to have a man bun pretty soon.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, you want to go, Daddy? Okay, you want me? This is what it looks like, Christine Campbell, as she's pregnant, about to have her baby. Yeah. So, hold on, sit with me, okay? Can you sit with me? Give me a hug. Give me a morning hug. Give me a morning hug. Thank you. So, just to top off the Strict 7, you said something about you have your women date 3 of them for up to 90 days and then choose and no sex.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a controversial one that people have around sex, and especially women and men that are dating. Men, they operate differently, but it's like for women, my husband said we slept in the same bed for 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks, almost every night, and didn't have sex. And he actually said to me, he said, like when we were talking about it later, he said, the only thing that was really different is women are so easy. He said they literally just go to bed with you like that. And he didn't really recognize this until after he had experienced it with me. And he said, that's like the only common denominator that shifted was you didn't go right to bed with me. Mm-hmm. Even when he was taking me off the market and saying, I would like to have a committed relationship, I still didn't jump into bed with him. Yeah. And so it was fascinating because I had learned that before. And of course I found a hot and heavy moment with someone and, went to bed with them. And then like 2 months later, I was getting my heart broken again. You can't have chocolate milk in the morning. Chocolate milk. Chocolate milk later, okay? Okay, can I finish with Christine? So
no, and I agree with you. I did the same thing. That's why, I had to change my behavior. When I met Steve, we committed quite early, but I even right in the conversation of him asking me to be exclusive with him, I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to choose you because I had a couple other guys I was dating. I was honest about it. I'm going to choose you right now, which made him all excited because men love to win. And I said, but I'm not going to have sex with you until I'm ready, which could take 30 to 60 days at this point. And are you okay with that? And his response was, why don't we just wait till we get married? So we started talking marriage really early, but he was like, sure. Wow, that's amazing. And once we were in our relationship, after we were married, he says today, one of the things that I loved about Christine was that she was so, like, she set that intention. Like, she's like, she was not willing to sleep with me till she made the choice. And it made me trust her and value her so much. She goes, I could send her anywhere in the world and I would never worry about her. I respect her so much. And it just, again, it separates you from majority today of the woman who really values herself. And if you want a high value man, you have to be a high value woman. And I know so many men in Los Angeles right now, I'm surrounded by single, attractive men who are looking for a wife. And they test women. They all say, if she sleeps with me too soon, she's not my wife. I'm waiting for the woman that makes me work for it.
Yeah.
So pay attention, baby.
Pay attention, pay attention.
Do like the challenge. They don't, of course there's men who love the hookup, but then also when you're looking for a wife, do you really want a woman who's going to jump into bed with you the first night?
Sometimes men don't think that way, like consciously, but then when it comes down to it, it ends up being like that. Look at his ponytail. Ash killed me the first time I put a ponytail in his head. He's like, Shanda, you can't put a ponytail in his head. He's so cute.
Hi, anyway. I haven't seen him in a while.
Oh all right, you guys, this is 6 a.m. Coffee with Shanda. Normally it's business talk, but this was love talk, making it a business, meaning that in 90 days, set the intention to create the relationship that you want. And the cool thing is if you do have a relationship right now and you've got some communication breakdowns in your relationship, it would be great to reach out to Christine for that too, because she's incredible at it. The other day we were just chatting and I was asking her questions about how to become a better wife, because at the end of the day, the people that you invest your time with are your partners, your kids, your family, and learning how to communicate like that only will serve you to have a better life. So if you want Christine's Strict 7, you can go to christinecampbell.com. It's up on the screen right now. And you can always reach out to her. Also find her on Facebook. You can reach out to her. You have a contact us page on your website, don't you? So you can contact her and ask her questions. You're also welcome, Christine, if you want to maybe go back to the comments. If you have a question around your love life, just go ahead and type that into your comments. And then Christine can come back and look at those and answer them. And then you'll also be connected with her on Facebook. All right, you guys, gals, everyone, have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go feed my little man some breakfast.
Thank you so much, Shanda. Love you.